Hello and welcome to Web Relates. Today we're looking at the Choosing Beggars subreddit. Our first story is by Graceful. Gas Station Shenanigans. I forgot about this until today, but once I was at a gas station filling up, and a lady approached me with a kid on her hip. She didn't look homeless, just tired, and asked me in very broken English if I could pay for some gas. I assumed they were travelling a long way and maybe ran out of money, so I slowly and politely explained that I didn't have any cash to give her, and that I wasn't at the best place financially, but I could spend about $20 worth of gas using my card. I was in school and interning. I had a part-time job and was barely scraping by with my own bills. And she repeated, $20? As soon as I said yes, she absolutely lit up and brought me over to this huge van. Yes, diesel, and opened up the gas cap as I ran my card. When I went to grab the thing and fill up the tank, she snatched, and yes, I do mean snatched it out of my hands, and put it into the car. In the moment, I honestly thought nothing of it, but once we were nearing the $20 mark, as I made to get the pump, she said, "No, not done yet," and blocked me from reaching for it with her body. I was more confused than anything, but I slowly explained again that I only had $20 to spare, and we had now passed it. She ignored me like she didn't hear me, and just kept filling up. At this point, we were nearing $35, and that meant no lunch for me. I had just worked a 7-hour shift and was on my way to my internship, so I quickly stepped behind her and grabbed the pump. She didn't see me move until it was too late, but she grabbed my hand over the pump and proceeded to try to tug it out of my hands, yelling at me in her language. After trying and failing to explain calmly again, I finally yelled, "I'm poor too!" and yanked it out of her grip and put it back in the holder. Clicked no receipt. She looked so startled that I yelled back at her, like full clutching her pearls, and I thought to myself, weren't you just screaming at me? Walked back to my car, got in and left. Watch her go up to someone else. They said no. Smarter than me. Crunchy Tea Time chimes in with a comment. She wasn't poor, she was a thief. You were poor. You were not stealing from anyone. You were not tricking them into sliding their card, and then deliberately filling your entire tank, when they said only $20. She was a scammer. People who need charity or who are grateful for help do not body block someone in order to steal resources from them. Sorry that happened to you. OP should have lost his cool way before then. Also, these exchange rates still get me. $20 approaches 400 Rand. And I drive a little car, but that's more than a third, maybe even closer to a half a tank of petrol. And I'm sure that could get me at least 250 kilometers, or about 150 miles. Our next story is by Lucky the Lurker. Family wants to use my house, but not honor my rules. My dad and his siblings are planning a family reunion for this summer and want to use my house. My dad has 7 siblings, 8 of them in total, plus spouses. I have no problem with them having a reunion at my place, but several of my aunts and uncles want to exclude everyone under 50 years old and anyone with children. I asked them if that means my wife and kids, and they said no because it's my house, but it means my siblings and cousins who live locally. I told them that it's not a reunion if anyone is excluded. My dad agrees with me, but 3 of his siblings and their spouses are saying they don't want to come if kids are going to ruin their fun. I don't know what the hell they think they're going to be doing on my farm, but I don't see how kids could ruin anything. They're going to take advantage of my hospitality. I know they expect me to cover the costs, so my home, my rules should apply. They are still complaining that kids will ruin it. That includes their own kids and grandkids. I can't believe a couple of my aunts and uncles think they can effectively exclude 70% of the family and still call it a family reunion. I certainly can't believe they are threatening to skip it if I invite the whole family, including their own kids. Edit. I should add my aunts and uncles are all over 70. The oldest is 90. It could be the last full reunion of their generation and last chance to get all 4 generations of my uncle's family together. The oldest wants everyone, so I think that should matter, as it might be his last reunion. My farm is essentially a summer camp for my family and their friends. If I sent the kids home, their parents would have to find alternative childcare options. Update. My 90-year-old uncle and his wife chimed in and told those who said they would skip not to threaten the rest of us with a good time. Love that man. Things are settled. No one is being required to attend anything they don't want to. The old farts will have 10 days here, and the last weekend will be the full family reunion, and they can go home early if they don't like it. It's exactly like I suggested. All that complaining over nothing. Now, I need to get planning. Sorry that was such a stress. Also, sad to say that I kind of expect that kind of attitude from some older people. It's not entirely unexpected for me. What really bothers me is I've had this happen with early 20-year-olds, and that's because their only idea of a good time is just having a piss up. Our next story is by McKenna Romero. My phone broke. Can I have your iPhone? My friend came over the other night and told me her phone broke, and that's why she came over without letting me know. She asked me if I had a phone she could borrow. It just so happens I did have a phone she could borrow. I had an Obama Android phone that I don't use anymore that still has service and data on it for free. So I offered her that Android phone and explained she wouldn't have to pay for service on it for a year, or at least until she gets another phone. She said, "Oh, it's an Android? No, that won't work." And I go, "What do you mean?" She says, "It needs to be an iPhone. Don't you have 2 iPhones?" I do have 2 iPhones, my current iPhone X I use, and a backup iPhone 8, because my iPhone X is on its last legs. I explained this to her, and she said, "Well, can I just have it till your iPhone X breaks?" I said no, and again told her she could have the Android that even has free data and service. She refused again and called me a bad friend and left. So yeah. Update. I guess she got an iPhone somehow. She texted me today and the messages were blue. Not to say sorry or anything. She texted me to ask if I could give her a ride somewhere. I had no intention of giving her the ride, but I was curious, so I asked if she had gas money, where she was, and where she needed to go. She had no gas money. She wanted me to pick her up from her place 25 miles away from me, then drive her 40 miles to the other side of town, then another 40 back to her house, plus the 25 miles to get me home as well. Hard no. Yeah, I've learnt not to give out too much information. At the point where she says, "Don't you have 2 iPhones?" I'd be like, "No, just the one I'm using." Our next story is by Snow Pearl. "Sure, I'll take a free lasagna, but I want you to use these specific ingredients. Oh, and dessert and slides are included, right? Wait, they're not? Why not?" Recently started volunteering for a program called Lasagna Love and got matched immediately. There's a 2+ month wait where I live. Contacted the recipient for drop-off coordination, and boy did I get inundated with requests. When you request a lasagna on the site, you can list dietary restrictions, vegetarian, vegan, dairy-free, etc. But otherwise, it's up to the volunteer to decide to what extent they want to accommodate requests. The recipient did not list any dietary restrictions, but then told me she only wanted turkey and ricotta cheese. Absolutely no substitutions are acceptable. Her words verbatim. And she preferred that all the ingredients be organic. I was taken aback by her audacity, but told her I would do my best, but I can't guarantee that everything will be organic. She grudgingly agreed. As a fair compromise, also her words verbatim, she asked if I could bring tiramisu as a dessert and whatever sides I want, and they don't even have to be organic. Yay me! I told her that volunteers commit to bringing a lasagna only. She demanded to know why volunteers don't provide a full meal. At this point, I'm beyond fed up. I deal with demanding people for my day job, but at least I get paid to do that. I'm volunteering for Lasagna Love. This was supposed to be a fun hobby, not an unpaid catering gig. I told her I can contact the volunteer coordinator and put her back in the queue if she prefers that someone else prepare her food. She backtracked, shut her trap, and accepted the food. I would have been happy to make her brownies or cupcakes if she hadn't been so demanding. But I just dropped off the lasagna and decommitted from volunteering once a week to once a month. Some people are exhausting. Our next story is by Edina Girl. Lady needed a discount on a vacation rental because she can't afford to pay full price. New to the sub, but wanted to share a story that happened to me about 2 years ago. We own a short-term rental that really only gets rented out in the summer months. It's on a lake near a small town, but not in a super touristy area of the state. So basically, the only income we make is made in the summer months. Anyway, I received an inquiry to rent the cabin for 3 nights in the middle of our busy summer season. The woman said she was interested in renting our cabin and was wondering if there was any sort of discount available because she was a single mom. I wrote her back and said that I was sorry, but we don't offer any discounts, and kindly explained that the price she was quoted in the inquiry is what the cost would be. She replied, and all she said was, "But I'm a single mom. I can't afford to pay full price, and my kids need this." As if there was some unwritten rule that was supposed to make me say, "Oh, well then." I wrote back and again apologized and offered that if they had their hearts set on coming to the area, there is a motel in town for like $60 a night versus the $225 a night that our place is. And there's a public beach on the lake down at the county park. I thought I was being nice by offering a solution that was most likely more in her price range. She replies and asks if I would price match the motel. Seriously? I had had enough of this lady, and I replied saying that we cannot do that and that it doesn't sound like our cabin is going to work out for you, and I wish you all the best. She then went off, saying how I was discriminating against her, how I was a greedy a-hole, she's going to leave a bad review on our page, etc. I didn't even reply. I still think about that whole interaction, and it just blows my mind at her thought process. Like she was entitled to an automatic discount because she couldn't pay full price? Wow. I want to see the review. Did that ever happen? Our last story is by Cypress Tax Guy. You'll pay for food? Great, let me order 3 of the most expensive combos. I had been writing a paper that was stressing me out, so I took a break to get some food. When I pulled into my parking spot, someone drove into my car. The damage was nominal, just a little scratch on the bumper. The car was on its last leg, so I let it go. The guy gave me his number and said to get it detailed and to send him the bill. This is going to sound weird, but I went from being stressed about the paper to relieved about my car not being thrashed. So I was actually very calm and happy. Enter the choosing beggar. A homeless guy came up to me and said he could fix the scratch. And before I could say anything, he takes a spray bottle and a rag and scrubs the bumper, so it looked like a clean bumper with a scratch. I thank him for trying his best, and as I'm walking off, he asks if I can buy him some food. I say sure, I'm going to X restaurant, join me. He says, actually, can we go to Y restaurant? I'm in a decent mood, so I say sure. So we go to Y restaurant, and he proceeds to order a $9 combo. Fair enough. But then he asks to go large, and to add an extra portion of meat, so now it's $16. I was a college student on a tight budget, so I was going to say sorry, but no upgrades. Before I get the chance, he then says, let me get 2 more duplicate orders for my friends. I ask him who is paying for the other 2 orders. He says, you said you'd buy me some food. I inform him I'm not buying the neighborhood food. He then tried getting the original upgraded combo with an additional teriyaki bowl for like $28 total. I tell him it's not going to happen, and that he can spend $9 on the basic combo. He gets mad and says I'm being cheap, uses a few choice words, and gets kicked out by the cashier. I go back to Restaurant X, but decide to use the drive-thru. A few days later, I go to Y restaurant. Apparently the guy tries to pull that same trick every time someone agrees to buy him food, but the owner decided to ban him. This is obviously quite an extreme example, being a homeless man that OP didn't know, but I definitely know I've gone out with friends and family, and there's certain people that when someone else is paying, they definitely are not price conscious at all. They just get the biggest, most expensive platters on the menu. Meanwhile, I've developed a reputation for being the guy that gets cheeseburgers everywhere, and that's normally just because it's the cheapest option. I found that the best strategy for dealing with these kinds of people, if you know them, is to just lay out the ground rules straight from the get-go. Hi, we're going out on this day, doing this thing, at this time. You're welcome to come with. No options given. Okay guys, that's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. Sorry if I went on a little bit long at the end there. But if you enjoyed the video, then please like, comment, and subscribe. And then of course I'm going to see you guys in the next video. So cheers. Have a great day.